You might think being a good person is enough to succeed in life. But here's the truth. The world doesn't reward kindness alone. Power, influence, and respect are not given. They are earned. And even good people can be taken advantage of if they don't understand the rules of strategy. Today, I'm going to show you how to stay good, but also smart, calculating, and unshakable. The Machiavellian way. Being a good person, kind, and compassionate is often seen as a virtue in society. People praise honesty, generosity, and the willingness to help others. But in the real world, these qualities, when untempered by strategy and awareness, can become a weakness. Niceness, when combined with naivety, can make a person an easy target for manipulation, exploitation, and betrayal. The world is full of individuals who do not play fair, who see kindness as an invitation to take advantage. If a good person approaches every situation expecting fairness, they are setting themselves up for disappointment. Machiavelli observed that human nature is often self-interested, and people act in their own favor first, not out of loyalty or morality. Being aware of this is not cynicism. It is realism. Recognizing that not everyone will act with integrity does not make you a bad person, it makes you prepared. The first step in ensuring that niceness does not become a weakness is understanding the difference between being morally good and being strategically intelligent. You can be ethical, honest, and kind, but you must also be calculating in how you deploy these qualities. Generosity must be measured. Trust must be earned, not given freely. Compassion must be guided by awareness of timing, circumstance, and the intentions of others. If you are too open, too trusting, or too eager to please, you will find that people begin to take what they can from you without giving anything in return. Your kindness becomes currency for others' advantage, and your goodwill can be used against you in moments when strength or decisiveness is required. Machiavelli's teachings remind us that strength and virtue can coexist. Niceness itself is not inherently weak, but weakness comes from a lack of strategy behind it. A good person must learn to protect their boundaries, to recognize threats even when cloaked in friendship, and to act in ways that preserve their influence and authority. Niceness must be paired with awareness. Generosity must be paired with discernment. Even a small miscalculation, being too trusting in a business deal, too lenient with someone who does not deserve leniency, too open in revealing intentions, can have long-term consequences. A person who is perpetually nice without strategy will find that others exploit their goodwill repeatedly, sometimes to the point of personal or professional ruin. Machiavelli understood that those who achieve success in a world full of competition are often not the cruelest or most ruthless, but those who can balance virtue with cunning. Being good is not a crime, but being blind in your goodness is dangerous. A good person must observe, calculate, and when necessary, take decisive action to prevent others from taking advantage. In practice, this means assessing every situation, understanding people's motivations, and ensuring that your kindness is never mistaken for weakness. It means learning to say no without guilt, to withhold trust until it is earned, and to act with firmness even when it seems unkind. A person who masters this balance commands respect without losing integrity. Niceness becomes an instrument of influence rather than a vulnerability. It allows a good person to navigate social, professional, and political landscapes without being undermined by those who do not share the same ethical code. Ultimately, the key is not to abandon virtue, but to fortify it with strategy. Kindness without awareness is a flaw. Kindness with strategy is power. Those who understand this principle can maintain their moral character while protecting themselves from exploitation, achieving success, and exerting influence in a world that does not automatically reward virtue. In this way, niceness becomes a tool rather than a trap, a way to build alliances, gain trust selectively, and maintain authority without compromising ethical standards. Speaking less and observing more is one of the most underestimated tools a person can possess. In a world dominated by chatter, opinions, and constant communication, those who master silence gain an invisible but immense advantage. Talking without thought reveals intentions, exposes weaknesses, and provides others with ammunition to use against you. People often underestimate how much they reveal in casual conversation, in their eagerness to appear honest, friendly, or agreeable. Every word spoken carries the risk of misinterpretation, betrayal, or manipulation. Machiavelli knew that those who rise to power and maintain influence are not always the loudest or most outspoken. but those who know when to remain silent and when to speak strategically. Silence is not mere absence of speech. It is an active, deliberate weapon that can protect, deceive, or strengthen your position. By speaking less, you observe more. You notice inconsistencies in others' words, detect hidden motives, and uncover opportunities that remain invisible to those who talk too much. Listening attentively allows you to gather intelligence, read human behavior, and understand the dynamics of every situation. When you speak strategically, every word carries weight. Every statement serves a purpose, and your silence amplifies the impact of your voice. The world rewards those who know when to withhold information, and punishes those who reveal everything in haste. Strategic silence also protects your reputation. Speaking carelessly can lead to misunderstandings, broken alliances, or exposure of weaknesses. By saying less, you maintain an air of mystery, control perception, and compel others to reveal more than they intend. Silence forces others to act first, make mistakes, or commit to positions you can later leverage. It shifts the power dynamic subtly in your favor. Yet strategic silence is not about cowardice or avoidance. It is about timing, precision, and awareness. The goal is not to remain passive, but to maximize influence and control outcomes. It requires patience, self-discipline, and a deep understanding of human nature. Those who speak incessantly often fall prey to their own words, revealing secrets, intentions, or vulnerabilities that others exploit. Those who master silence, however, remain untouchable in many ways, because their intentions are opaque and their reactions unpredictable. Silence also communicates authority. When others are unsure of your thoughts, they hesitate, respect, or even fear your next move. It creates space for influence without confrontation. A well-timed word following a period of silence carries more power than constant speech, because it appears deliberate, intentional, and calculated. People will listen more closely, interpret meaning, and sometimes overestimate your intentions, giving you an advantage simply through what you have not said. Strategic silence is particularly crucial in relationships, negotiations, and leadership. In personal interactions, it allows you to observe motives and assess trustworthiness before committing to a position. In negotiations, it compels others to fill the void, revealing their needs, weaknesses, or concessions they are willing to make. In leadership, it commands attention, establishes authority, and prevents unnecessary conflicts born from careless words. Machiavelli's principle is clear: talk less, observe more, and speak only when it serves a purpose. Silence is a shield, a sword, and a tool of influence. It transforms a good observer into a powerful strategist, someone who navigates complex social and political landscapes with precision. Those who fail to respect the art of silence give others the upper hand, unknowingly providing them with knowledge, leverage, and advantage. Mastering this art requires restraint, patience, and awareness, but the payoff is immense. In every conversation, every interaction, every moment of decision-making, silence can protect your position, gather intelligence, and elevate your influence. It is a weapon disguised as an action, a strategy often overlooked, and a power possessed only by those who understand that what is left unsaid often matters more than what is spoken. By embracing strategic silence, a good person shields themselves from manipulation, enhances their authority, and positions themselves to act decisively when the moment demands, all while keeping intentions hidden and influence intact. Trust is a necessary part of human interaction, yet it is also one of the most dangerous vulnerabilities a person can expose. To navigate the world successfully, a good person must understand that blind trust is not only foolish, but often fatal. People act out of self-interest, and even those who appear loyal or kind may have motives that conflict with your own. Machiavelli observed that human nature is complex, and appearances are rarely a reliable guide to reality. Trust, therefore, must be earned and constantly evaluated. At the same time, excessive suspicion can be paralyzing. To suspect everyone of ill intent is to live in fear, to undermine relationships, and to miss opportunities that require openness and collaboration. The key is to strike a careful balance, trust enough to build alliances, gain loyalty, and foster cooperation, but maintain suspicion enough to protect yourself from exploitation. A good person must cultivate discernment. Observe patterns, watch how people behave when they think no one is looking, and notice the small inconsistencies that reveal hidden intentions. Those who act honestly and consistently will demonstrate reliability over time. Those who are deceitful or opportunistic will inevitably expose themselves through their actions, even if their words remain polished. Trust is a tool, not a gift freely given. It should be extended selectively, strategically, and with full awareness of potential consequences. Similarly, suspicion is not an instinct of paranoia, but a calculated awareness that people have motives that may conflict with yours. It is the recognition that goodwill is not guaranteed, that loyalty must be measured, and that even friends may act in self-interest when the moment is right. In practical terms, mastering this balance requires constant vigilance and adaptation. In business, personal relationships, or social interactions, offering trust prematurely can result in betrayal, lost opportunities, or humiliation. Yet, withholding trust completely creates distance, resentment, and missed alliances. By balancing trust and suspicion, a person maintains the ability to form meaningful connections while protecting themselves from harm. It also allows for strategic action. When trust is given selectively, it becomes a form of leverage. People feel honored and valued when entrusted with responsibility or secrets, which encourages loyalty and cooperation. When combined with a healthy degree of suspicion, it ensures that you are never fully vulnerable. The world is full of individuals who will exploit the naive, manipulate the overly trusting, or betray those who expect fairness above all else. Machiavelli's insight is that the wise person understands the duality of human nature. People can be both honorable and deceitful, generous and self-serving, depending on circumstances. Recognizing this duality allows a good person to navigate relationships with both caution and confidence. Trust without suspicion invites harm. Suspicion without trust invites isolation. The mastery lies in knowing when to lean toward one or the other, when to test loyalty, when to observe quietly, and when to act decisively based on the knowledge gained. In essence, trust and suspicion are two sides of the same coin, each necessary for protection and influence. Trust allows influence to grow, relationships to flourish, and alliances to form. Suspicion ensures that power is preserved, weaknesses are hidden, and the risks of betrayal are minimized. A person who fails to balance these two forces either exposes themselves to exploitation or isolates themselves from potential allies. The balance is not static. It shifts depending on context, the individuals involved, and the stakes at hand. Mastering this principle requires observation, patience, and strategic thinking. By understanding both the rewards and the dangers of trust, and by tempering suspicion with wisdom, a good person can navigate the complexities of human interaction without being naive or paranoid, building alliances, safeguarding themselves, and maintaining control, in a world where intentions are rarely pure and appearances are often deceiving. Emotions are powerful forces, capable of driving decisions, shaping behavior, and influencing outcomes in ways that are both visible and subtle. Even good people with the best intentions can be undone by uncontrolled anger, impulsive generosity, or unguarded fear. Machiavelli understood that emotional discipline is not just a virtue but a necessary strategy for anyone who wishes to navigate the complexities of life successfully. People often believe that being moral or kind is sufficient, that acting with integrity will protect them from harm, or that their natural instincts will guide them wisely. Yet instincts alone are unreliable, and morality, while admirable, does not shield one from the manipulations or opportunism of others. Emotions, if left unchecked, become vulnerabilities that others can exploit, turning a moment of trust, patience, or generosity into a moment of weakness. Controlling your actions is not enough. The world observes not only what you do, but how you react. The most dangerous moments occur when emotions dictate behavior, prompting rash decisions, revealing hidden thoughts, or undermining authority. Anger can push a person into confrontation that harms relationships or jeopardizes their position. Fear can lead to avoidance or hesitation when bold action is required. Overexcitement or excessive enthusiasm can make you predictable or appear naive. Therefore, mastering one's internal state is crucial. Emotional control does not mean becoming cold, distant, or inhuman. It means understanding the triggers of your feelings, recognizing their potential impact, and choosing responses that align with long-term goals rather than short-term impulses. A person who can remain calm under pressure, respond with precision instead of reaction, and project composure even when provoked, gains a profound advantage. Observing human behavior, Machiavelli noticed that those who fail to master their emotions are often manipulated more easily. People can exploit visible frustration, fear, or impatience, leveraging these reactions to manipulate outcomes or coerce compliance. A leader, negotiator, or even a friend who reacts emotionally too quickly signals vulnerability, while one who maintains poise can redirect situations, negotiate effectively, and even control the perceptions of others. Emotional mastery also allows for strategic deception when necessary. By masking frustration, disappointment, or eagerness, you create uncertainty in others, prompting them to act in ways that reveal intentions, weaknesses, or opportunities. This control transforms natural human impulses into calculated instruments of influence, allowing a good person to navigate challenges without sacrificing ethics or personal integrity. Importantly, emotional discipline strengthens internal resilience. Life is unpredictable, filled with setbacks, betrayals, and challenges that can destabilize even the most well-intentioned individual. Those who succumb to emotional turbulence risk making decisions they later regret or being manipulated by those who understand the power of controlled reaction. By learning to regulate emotions, a person preserves clarity of thought, maintains consistency in behavior, and ensures that actions are guided by reason and strategy rather than fleeting feelings. Mastery over emotions is a long-term investment in personal power, credibility, and effectiveness. It enables a person to influence others, respond decisively in moments of crisis, and maintain authority without resorting to cruelty, manipulation, or excessive force. A good person who controls both actions and emotions can navigate complex social landscapes, protect themselves from exploitation, and wield influence ethically, but effectively. Machiavelli's insight is timeless. Emotions themselves are not enemies, but uncontrolled emotions are liabilities. The challenge is not to suppress humanity, but to harness it, channeling feelings into deliberate, measured responses that advance goals while safeguarding integrity. Those who fail to master this internal domain risk losing control of the external world, while those who succeed gain a subtle but profound power, able to respond strategically to threats, opportunities, and human behavior with clarity, poise, and unwavering purpose. Influence is often mistaken for force, dominance, or intimidation, but true power rarely relies on coercion. Those who rule solely through fear may gain obedience, but it is fragile, conditional, and resented. Machiavelli observed that people respect and follow those who can command attention and allegiance without relying on brute force or threats. Influence without intimidation is subtle, deliberate, and far more enduring because it is rooted in perception, respect, and strategic persuasion rather than fear of punishment. To understand this principle, it is essential to recognize that intimidation can achieve immediate compliance, but rarely cultivates loyalty or trust. Fear compels action, but it does not inspire commitment. People will obey a tyrant's orders to avoid harm, yet they may secretly plot, resist, or withdraw when opportunity allows. Influence, by contrast, shapes behavior by guiding choices, aligning interests, and appealing to reason or desire. A good person who masters this art can achieve objectives without creating enemies, sustaining authority through respect rather than terror. One of the most effective methods of influencing without intimidation is to project confidence, competence, and calm authority. When a person demonstrates mastery over their domain, clarity of vision, and decisiveness, others are naturally drawn to follow. They do not need to be coerced. They observe capability and choose to align themselves voluntarily. Respect, earned through skill and presence, becomes a magnet for influence. Subtlety is also a critical element. Influence often works best when it is almost imperceptible. By guiding decisions, shaping perceptions, and creating circumstances where others act in ways that benefit you, a person exerts power without appearing forceful. This can be done through suggestion, leading by example, building alliances, or framing choices in ways that make your desired outcome appear as the natural or favorable option. Intimidation, in contrast, often provokes resistance, resentment, or rebellion, whereas carefully applied influence encourages collaboration and mutual benefit. Another aspect of this principle is emotional intelligence. Understanding human motivations, desires, and fears allows a person to appeal to these elements without resorting to threats. Machiavelli understood that humans are driven by a combination of ambition, self-interest, and social instincts. By appealing to these drives thoughtfully, a good person can motivate others to act in alignment with their goals while preserving goodwill and respect. Influence without intimidation also requires patience and observation. It is rarely immediate. It is cultivated through consistent behavior, reputation, and strategic engagement. Each interaction becomes an opportunity to strengthen credibility, build trust, and subtly guide others' choices. The power in this approach lies in its sustainability. Whereas fear-based control can crumble the moment the threat is removed, influence built on respect and strategic persuasion persists, grows, and often multiplies as others adopt and propagate your vision willingly. Silence, timing, and restraint are essential components as well. By choosing when to speak, when to act, and when to withhold judgment, a person can shape situations and decisions without appearing domineering. This allows for control that is both indirect and effective. Influence without intimidation is, therefore, a sophisticated form of power. It requires awareness of human nature, strategic thinking, and the ability to wield subtlety as skillfully as others wield force. Machiavelli teaches that the most enduring leaders are not those who are feared, but those whose authority is respected, whose vision is compelling, and whose presence commands attention without the need for threats. A good person who learns this skill can navigate social, professional, and political landscapes with finesse, achieving objectives while maintaining loyalty, respect, and cooperation. It is an art that balances patience, perception, and persuasion, allowing a person to shape outcomes effectively while preserving relationships and authority. In essence, true influence is invisible. It bends behavior without breaking will, persuades without threatening, and leads without forcing compliance. Those who understand this dynamic can wield extraordinary power, not through intimidation, but through mastery of perception, strategy, and human nature, achieving goals while keeping their integrity intact and their authority unchallenged. In life, opportunities are fleeting, and hesitation can be the difference between success and failure. Many good people falter not because they lack talent, intelligence, or virtue, but because they wait too long, overthink, or seek perfection in a world where time is scarce and circumstances change rapidly. Machiavelli observed that fortune favors the bold, and that decisive action, when applied at the right moment, often outweighs careful planning or prolonged deliberation. Acting decisively does not mean acting recklessly. It means recognizing the critical point where our observation, preparation, and judgment converge, and then moving with purpose and confidence. The key is to develop awareness, the ability to read situations, assess risks, and predict the likely outcomes of inaction as well as action. Good people often struggle with this because they fear making mistakes, offending others, or appearing aggressive. Yet indecision itself is costly. In moments of uncertainty, others act, competitors advance, and opportunities vanish. Those who hesitate may find that their integrity, skill, and intentions are irrelevant if they fail to act when required. Decisive action requires clarity of thought and courage of conviction. It demands that a person distinguish between moments that require patience and observation, and moments that demand immediate intervention. Machiavelli understood that the world does not wait, and those who fail to seize decisive moments often see their position weakened, their influence diminished, or their plans overtaken by others. Timing is critical. Acting too early can be as damaging as acting too late, and the challenge lies in recognizing the exact moment when intervention will yield maximum effect. This requires a combination of knowledge, insight into human behavior, and an understanding of the dynamics at play. A good person who masters this principle learns to anticipate consequences, prepare for contingencies, and then commit fully when the time is right. Decisiveness is also a signal of authority and confidence. Others are drawn to those who act without hesitation, who demonstrate mastery over circumstances, and who do not allow fear or doubt to paralyze judgment. Indecision, by contrast, erodes credibility, creates uncertainty, and encourages others to question your ability to lead or influence. Strategic decisiveness balances calculation with courage. It involves weighing risks, evaluating potential gains, and acting in a way that advances objectives while minimizing exposure. Machiavelli observed that fortune is often unpredictable, but those who are prepared, aware, and willing to act decisively can influence outcomes more effectively than those who rely solely on luck or wishful thinking. Decisiveness also requires acceptance of responsibility. A person who acts boldly must own the consequences of their choices, whether favorable or unfavorable. Hesitation, blame-shifting, or over-analysis not only diminishes effectiveness but signals weakness. By contrast, decisive action, guided by reason and strategy, enhances credibility and solidifies authority. It demonstrates the capacity to navigate complex situations, to act when necessary, and to seize opportunities that others might overlook. Another critical aspect is confidence rooted in preparation. Acting decisively without understanding the situation can be reckless, but acting decisively with knowledge, foresight, and strategy transforms action into power. The good person must train themselves to gather intelligence, anticipate obstacles, and prepare contingencies so that when the moment comes, they can act swiftly and effectively. In essence, decisive action is a combination of courage, timing, preparation, and awareness. It allows a person to move ahead while others hesitate, to claim opportunities before they disappear, and to influence outcomes in ways that passive observation alone cannot achieve. Machiavelli's insight is clear. Fortune rewards those who act with purpose and conviction. Waiting for the perfect moment often results in missed chances, while calculated decisiveness transforms opportunity into success. The ability to act decisively, when combined with observation, strategy, and discipline, ensures that a good person can navigate the challenges of life with effectiveness, influence, and authority, achieving goals that indecision would have rendered impossible. In the end, being a good person is not enough to navigate the world successfully. Kindness, honesty, and integrity must be paired with strategy, awareness, and discipline. By mastering your niceness, speaking with purpose, balancing trust and suspicion, controlling your emotions, influencing without force, and acting decisively when the moment demands it, you transform virtue into power. The world respects those who are not only good but wise. Not only moral but strategic, not only ethical but effective. Remember, greatness does not come to those who wait or hesitate. It comes to those who understand the rules of human nature and play the game with intelligence, precision, and courage. Let your goodness be your strength, not your weakness, and let your actions be deliberate, calculated, and unstoppable.